I was really just kind of frustrated with myself.
Yeah.
After training my ass off and doing so well leading up to that. One of my friends at the time out in California was a strongman, and he was competing. And every summer at the Mid-County State Fair, we would run the strongman competition, which was an Arnold qualifier. And he was just like, you need to just take a break from powerlifting for a while. Why don't you come try strongman? Like, you can win this whole thing. Like, here's the events that we're going to do. So start training for those. And one of them on there was a stone medley. And I had a 275 pound stone at my gym. So I went off program, which was mistake number one. The coach that I had me, I was like, no, I want to fuck with stones today. He didn't have me doing stones. So I picked up this stone, and Sam, you probably know a little bit more about this, but I was just trying to go alternating shoulder, like come up, like I'm going to go over my right, come back down, rebound, go over the left.
And how much experience have you had up to this point?
I had never lifted a stone before in my life.
Seems like a good story.
And I was beltless. I was raw. I didn't have my nose torque. So I mean, name everything that could possibly go wrong did. So I got it to my lap, and I got it up and over my right shoulder just fine. And then I come back down, and I got way too loose, and I felt myself arch with my back instead of driving with my hips, and I instantly felt a pop. And everything went black, and I actually ended up falling face down onto the mat that I had sitting outside. My training partner comes running over, and I just remember being in excruciating pain. Like, I couldn't move. I mean, Mundo was my training partner. He's this huge Mexican dude, 345 pounds, strong as an ox, and he just like bear hugged me up out of the ground. He's like, you got to get up, keep going. And I'm like, dude, I can't. And I couldn't stand up straight. I was like folded over at 90 degrees. So I drove myself to the hospital. It was like a mile and a half down the road. And I'm like, I really jacked up my back. Blah, 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 give me painkillers. And they're like, well, you asked for painkillers. Here's some ibuprofen. Nothing worked. And so I was married at the time. I got home. Like, I couldn't stand up. I couldn't tie my shoes. You know, my stepdaughters had to help me get dressed. They had to bring me my food. It was terrible. It was something that was so debilitating that I just never got the itch to want to put on gear again to try to squat super heavy or deadlift super heavy.
So was it just a herniation, or what did you have?
Well, I never ended up getting an MRI or anything like that. And they're like, yeah, you hurt your back, but we're not going to give you an MRI. We're not even going to give you an x-ray because it's not structural, it's muscle. So like, but we're not going to give you an MRI.
How the fuck they know it?
They just
That's exactly. That's what the nurse said.
Feel it? Okay. Yeah. They rub it like
it's hot.
Wax on, wax off.
They're like, yeah, it looks like it hurts.
I'm sitting on the bench, and she's like, sit up straight. I'm like, I can't. She's like, yeah, you did something, but we're not going to x-ray. Like, that's pointless. We're not going to MRI. That's pointless. You know what you did. We know what you did. So here's some ibuprofen and go.
So they didn't even do like the Mr. Miyagi, like clap, rub.
No.
Eat, you know?
No. I mean, that was pre-COVID, and they still wouldn't come within 6 feet of me. It was
It's a good thing they gave you 800 milligrams of Advil, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So, I mean, it was a long-ass process, right? Just to try to get back to be able to stand up straight again. Ever since then, it's just been an ongoing battle with that same injury. Like, you can do the McGill 3 until the cows come home, like literally can, but you make one little flaw in your technique trying to pick something up, and it doesn't matter how strong your core is, if that little micro fracture is still there, it's still going to cause some pain. And so it never fails. Like, every 8 or 9 months, I do something to my back, and I'm like planted for like 3-4 days. So, which sucks, because at one point I was getting really strong again, and it felt good. I competed sumo, but I was training at this point in time conventional, and I ended up repping 600 conventional. And I was like, yes, like, now it's time to get back. And then I like bent over to tie my shoe, and I couldn't fucking stand up again. And then I was crushed for another 6 or 7 days. And so every now and then, like, I'll see a video or I'll hear a podcast. I'm like, fuck, I can do it again. I can. Then it's like, but do I really want to do all that all over again? And for me, it's just not the time of my life to want to try to do that. I'm just so focused on my kids and my athletes right now that I like training heavy, but I don't want to put in the effort to try to qualify for an Arnold or get into the top 20 again. It just doesn't appease to me.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the most frustrating part, is the fact that you were in a medical facility and they were like, yep, your back sure looks like it hurts.
Yeah.
Like, you wouldn't say that to the front of your body. It's like, well, your front hurts.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, right.
It's like, what the fuck? It's like, why is that? It's like, why is that the go-to? Like, yep, low back. You done fucked it up. It's like, yeah, doc, I know. I certainly feel that.
Yeah.
Now, I just have to ask. You said it like every 8 or 9 months you kind of tweak it. Like, did you get any like symptoms on your leg or any of that shit, or is it just kind of
no?
Like,
it's just
debilitating, seizes up, and then you just can't do shit.
Yeah, like the last time I did it, I was at the gym that I was training at in my hometown, and The program called for a set of 3. It was like 5 sets of 3, and the last one he wanted to beat the number that I had the week before. So I had like 545 on the bar, and I was going hybrid. So I wasn't quite sumo, but I was a little wider than conventional.
Right.
And I just had everything braced. And on the first rep, I'm like, don't do another fucking rep. Don't do another rep. So what did? I did another rep. And it just went bam. And like, I ended up dropping the bar. I ended up falling over the bar, and someone comes, are you okay? And I was like, can you unrack my bar for me? I got to go home.
I just shit myself.
And he's like, yeah, man, no worries. And yeah, that was like, I think like 6 months ago.
That's the worst. Like it's just those little tweaks that just keep coming back and back.
Yeah, and it's the same thing.
Is it the same motion every time?
It's the same motion every time. It's like right when I'm trying to break the floor, I'm just, my initial pull is with my back. It's not driving with my legs. I'm like braced to hell. My lats are engaged. I always prided myself on being really dialed in with the technique and making sure I had the lifter's wedge, I was braced, all that shit. Every now and then I just do something stupid, and I'm like, I'm going to use my back first instead of using my legs. And every time I do that, it just goes.
It's very common too, right? Like it's especially when you start to feel good, you want to push it.
Yeah, and like I'd always been aware, like I got to go slow. Like don't make small jumps. Okay, week to week, you just got to get better.
Like actually slow or meathead slow? Because it's like 2 different speeds.
So I have a battle in my head between the meathead and the normal guy, and the meathead always usually wins those battles.
As they should.
Yeah, and then
they're stronger than the normie.
Yeah, but that guy's an asshole. He's just like, no, you don't need to use your legs. Just lift with your back.
Yeah,
like you're gonna be fine. You're okay.
Just use L4, L5.
Yeah, exactly.
I got 2 words for you: pin pull.
Fuck that.
No, I can't.
There's 2 words right back at you.
No way.
Yeah.
Pin pull. You're over 40 now.
So here's the thing without
quit pulling shit off the floor.
Here's the thing with pin pulls. That's the position that's worse for me. Yeah. Like if I try to do pin pulls or block pulls at a certain weight or at a certain height, I can't even, like once I get the bar and I start to take the slack out, I can instantly feel my back.
So there's mid shin.
They're 2 inches off the floor.
It's the weight in front of you. I swear to God, if you went to a trap bar for a while.
So for the last 4 or 5 months, I've been doing nothing but trap bar, and it feels fantastic. Like now I'm back up into the mid to upper 4s, pushing 5 again with the trap bar, and I got no pain. Again, like it's one of those things. Like I'm not competing again. I don't ever have to fucking straight bar deadlift again. Like what's the point?
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't ever.
I don't straight bar squat anymore, and I don't straight bar deadlift anymore. So
we just had a video of Dave teaching the Dimmel deadlift, and I think it got so many views because it was Dave deadlifting and not actually the video itself.
Yeah, right.
It has like 70,000 views. People are like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's. But again, like I feel like having that low back injury and having gone through that, and even like bombing out of meets and all that, like all the hard shit, all the not fun shit that you've gone through. You coach athletes, right? Has made you a better coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. Because it's one of the things I always talk to my kids about. It's like the minute you walk into my facility or you're around me, you can't ego lift anymore. It has to all be about the technique. And I told them the story about blowing my back out. And right when I first started at Baker, I had a little back injury because I was doing something stupid on a deadlift, and they saw me walking around bent over, not being able to stand up straight. And they're like, oh, you weren't kidding. And I was like, no, I'm not kidding. Like you do something wrong in here, you will get seriously hurt, or you could hurt yourself. If you're not being careful, you could kill somebody else. You could hurt somebody else. Like this is a dangerous place, a weight room, especially for teenagers who have no fucking clue what they're doing. And this is the first time they've ever stepped foot in a weight room before. And it has made me a better coach because it makes me reevaluate movement. Because if I can't do anything and I can't demo it, I mean, I'm not the best descriptor in the world. I can't always use my words. Kids sometimes learn better by watching. So I'd have to just jump in there. And I did stupid stuff a couple of times that first year at Baker. I'd get pissed at somebody missing a 400-pound deadlift, and I'd just walk up and pull it without even thinking about it. But then all of a sudden I'd be crippled for the next couple of days because I use my back and not my damn legs. So.
Yeah, good one. You've had injuries too before, right? Like that have put you in.
My body's been hurt since I was 17. I mean, when you're 135 pounds playing high school football at the D1 level in Ohio, you're going to get your ass kicked. Yeah. And I mean, shoulders, ankles, like everything is wrecked. The shoulders for me are the 2 worst things. Like I have pain, but Dave told me a long time ago when I first started working here, he was like, "Does that hurt?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Don't fucking do it." You know what I mean? Like, and it kind of resonated with me. Like, well, that makes sense. And then. Another thing, I remember Ted Tolston one time was like, "Why are you cutting weight?" I'm like, I don't know. I want to lift at 198. He's like, are you going to set a world record? I'm like, no. He's like, don't lose weight.
Yeah.
You know, and so you learn these things from these guys that have been around forever. And it's like, you know, like I know I can't incline bench press. There's no way I can do that with a straight bar. I can't do it. Like as soon as I get close to my chest, I feel like both my shoulders are going to rupture. I don't do it. Did the powerlifting thing for a while, and I tried to compete in that. And
You had a good bench.
it was a good bench. That's all I could do. I mean,
Yeah, well.
my biggest fear in my first meet was not being able to out deadlift my bench. And I was very close to not doing that.
That's nothing to be scared about.
I was like, man, this is going to be embarrassing when I bench
Proud
press.
about that. I mean, take pride in that shit.
You know, and the whole idea of the meet was to go and do a full power meet, but I have zero hip mobility and I couldn't get the parallel on a squat. And I was like, I'm going to bomb out of this thing. So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go push pull. Hey, yeah, I mean, injuries are like any kind of an athlete. You play any kind of a sport, I don't care what it is, soccer, wrestling, lacrosse, baseball, you're going to have injuries. I mean, my son had horrible baseball injuries his senior year. I mean, it was just one thing after another. We're just going to keep him healthy. It's going to happen. In the weight room, like Chris said, at the most, especially in the high school level, it could be the most dangerous place in the world. I mean, I've seen kids do some of the craziest, dumbest shit in the world. It's unbelievable. It's scary. And, you know, then we get into talking about equipment more, but I mean, that's why I always try to tell coaches in the high school, I'm like, you need full racks.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
Do not buy a half rack. Like, you have a kid miss or fall backwards or something.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep him in the cage.
You're in trouble.
So that bar is like, you know, because 9 times out of 10, it's the spotters that get smashed, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, injuries, like if you're going to do anything physical, you're going to get injured. So, you know, don't lift weights if you don't want to get hurt. I mean, like, I'm just waiting for the next thing to pop.
Everybody take notice. I'm not the one that said that. I'm just
be the
just over
sales
here.
team.
I'm just fucking enjoying this conversation like you can't believe.
I mean, something's going to pop. I mean, shit, I tore my calf diving in my pool. Dove in my pool.
Because you were excessively
drowning.
dehydrated because you were hammered.
Probably. And I'm looking at my wife. I'm like, can you throw me something? I'm drowning. And she's laughing. I'm like, I'm really hurt.